Hey everyone, welcome to MT Guitar. Today we're going to talk about beginner to advanced blues guitar, the 13 steps that you'll encounter along the way. I'm sure there's many more. Please leave a comment of any that I forgot. It's hard to count how many things we need to study in music, but I'm trying to sort of give a picture of 13 obvious things, in my opinion, and I'll demonstrate each one of them. Also, feel free to leave a comment on any of these 13 that you'd like me to do a deep dive on. I'm happy to do that, and I probably will anyway at some point, but if you want me to do it sooner than later, let me know. Let's clarify a couple things right off the bat. First off, advanced doesn't mean better. Advanced in harmony usually means 9s, 11s, 13s. So advanced harmony is sort of going into upper extensions. It's also 2-5-1s. It's also tritone substitutions, diminished, augmented harmony, etc. Meaning it's just more complicated, sort of a deeper layer of theory. You're going towards the jazz blues side of things. People like Charlie Parker, Thelonious Monk, okay, John Coltrane, Miles Davis. That's just to say that it doesn't mean that's better. It just means it is what it is. Now you can play complete sort of basic 12-bar blues at a very, very high level. Look at people like Stevie Ray Vaughan, or people like today like Joe Bonamassa, or Eric Gales, whoever, right? The list goes on and on. You can also play jazz blues at a beginner level, and that's fine too. For a beginner, the goals are simple in my mind. Learn dominant 7th chords, open and barred. Learn your minor blues scales in at least one position, if not more. And memorize the 12-bar blues, all right? And this is the scary one, but it's so crucial for you to memorize the 12-bar blues. Why don't I demonstrate some of these? So, if you're a beginner, you should learn E7. Couple forms of it. So there's one form. Another form is adding your pinky here. Kind of bouncing back and forth between them. There will be the first 4 bars. We'll talk about the 12-bar blues in a sec. A7. Here's one form. Here's another form. We're just doubling this flat 7. Back to E7. B7. Funny story about B7. The Beatles actually took a bus to go learn B7 from a friend, basically, and they took a whole day. I forget which town it was, but I TA'd a Beatles class at USC for 2 years and learned a bunch of funny stories, and this is one of them. So here it is. I'll save you a bus ride here. There's B7, okay? This is called the turnaround. A7, E7, B7. All right, so you got to learn these 3 chords. You should probably learn D7 as well, and maybe G7. And lastly, C7. All right. Now, you'd also want to learn some bar chords. So E7, A7, and E7. And then B7 would be here. A7, E7. Okay. These bar chords can kind of be annoying, so we're going to talk about what else to do in the intermediate phase. So you learn your 3 chords. Now you memorize the 12-bar blues. Super crucial. Then we're going to play over it with some minor blues scales. So E7 for 4 bars. I'm just going to start to shuffle this. 4 bars. A7. 2 bars. E7. Turn around. B7 for a bar. A7 for a bar. E7. You can't have this too much in your ears here. Now, next step would be learn the minor blues scales. Here's E minor blues scale. So then you want to play that minor blues scale. I'm going to be posting a backing track on the 12-bar blues within the week. And you're going to want to practice that scale over a backing track or a loop, as I've made here. So it sounds like this: 3, 4. Maybe do it a couple different positions. eventually you've got all 5 positions, which I'd still consider beginner, but we'll talk about other ways to spice up the scale with techniques. But just knowing the notes, it's just the same 5 or same 6 notes all in 5 positions. Okay, so those are your 3 goals: dominant 7th chords, open and barred, memorize the 12-bar blues, and get your minor blues scales. You'd also want to do A blues. A lot of times this is the first scale people learn, so that's A minor blues. Okay. Now, if we transpose the E blues to A, we use Roman numerals to do it. So 1 chord for 4 bars, 2, 3, 4. The 4 chord is D7. 2 bars, 1 chord back to A7. What's the 5 chord? It's E7. Turn around. D7, A7, E7. This is the beginning of ear training. If you can hear that that's the 1 chord, that's a good start. Can you hear that that's the 4 chord? Can you hear that that's the 5 chord? Can you recognize the turnaround? If you can, then you can understand what a 5 chord sounds like, right? Or at least you can begin to. Now for intermediate, it's such a fun topic to talk about. We really want to switch our focus to a whole different set of things here. It's less about memorizing scale positions, okay? That's actually more on the beginner side, you know, getting the minor blues scale or getting the 12-bar blues. Now, if you have the notes, what do you do with them, right? Because we can take just the minor blues scale and give that to a pro, like, you know, like a legend like Stevie Ray Vaughan, and they're going to take just a few notes and just give us a delicious melody. Now that's because the guitar can sound like the voice, right? The guitar has voice-like properties. It can bend, it can vibrato, it can slur, whatever, just like the voice can. And a lot of instruments can't do that. Like the piano, for instance, can't bend. You know, it can't even slide or anything like that, right? So the voice can do all those things. So we want to take a few notes. Let's say, you know, you've got just 3 notes. So I'm adding vibrato, I'm bending, I'm unbending, I'm pulling off, I'm hammering on, and I'm sliding. So I'm not adding any new notes, but I'm adding a ton of new expressions, right? So just to quantify all those: bending, hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, vibratos, and I already said bending, so that's 5. So, all right, so that would be number 4 is expression. The next 5 are all in the intermediate category, in my opinion. So it's a huge field, right? It takes years to work through it all. So number 5 is basically just learning a bunch of different styles of accompaniment, including boogie woogie. Because if you're just doing this for 4 bars, there's not a lot of movement. So what if you did at least we're moving the 1 voice up. We're moving the 5 to the 6. And you're addressing palm muting, you're addressing kind of laying back a little bit, letting somebody else take the spotlight, and also just keep the form going. You'd also want to learn other ways to play dominant 7th chords, like these. No bar chords. It'd also help with your muting. So that's number 5. For number 6, you'd want to learn mixolydian on all the chords, 1, 4, 5. So E mixolydian with the flat 3 added. A mixolydian. E mixolydian. And you'll see if I play it too sort of predictably, it sounds a bit academic. But you'll notice all the blues cliches in here. You know, including that one. That's all mixolydian. just endless hours of fun to have Mixolydian. And it'll start you on the major path, right? Playing major over these chords. Okay, that takes us to number 7, which is mixing major pentatonic with minor pentatonic, all right? Or major blues with minor blues. So you got minor blues here. You've also got major blues. Right? It's kind of weird to play open major blues, so it's 1, 2, flat 3, 3, 5, 6. And then when it goes to the 4 chord, you can't play that scale because of some theory. It's because the major third of E is the major 7th of A. So you can't play major. You got to play E. Well, you don't have to, but you could play E minor blues over the 4 chord. All right, the next would be extensions like 9 and 13. Learn E9, learn A13. Obviously sounding a bit more jazzy. May not be your cup of tea, but you should still learn these voicings. Okay? Next would be dominant 7th arpeggios. Kind of goes along with the Mixolydian stuff. You can always add a flat 3, even to your arpeggios. I added a 9 to the arpeggio. Alright, now we're to advanced. So what's the goal for advanced? Advanced would be we want to understand harmony on a deeper level. We want to not be afraid of music theory and dive head first into it, and understand basically 2-5-1s and secondary dominance. Alright, if I play a blues in A, I just did a 2-5-1 to the D7. So here's the 4 chord, but I did an E minor 7, A13, D9, which is a 2-5-1. But that would be, secondary dominance as well. So let's say I'm back at the 1 chord. You've all heard that before. That's the 6 chord, but it's the 5 of 2. Here's the 2, which is the 5 of 5. 3 chord, 6, 2, 5. Six chord, 5 of 2, 2. Oops, throwing in some advanced stuff. All right, okay. Next, you're gonna do tritone substitutions and diminished. So if I'm going to the 4 chord on bar 2, I can do a tritone sub of the 1 to get there by going up to the flat 5 for say a D sharp 9 or a E flat 9 to the D9. So I could do, and then a tritone sub from the D, which would be A flat. Tritone is a sharp 4 or flat 5 away. I should say a diminished 5th or an augmented 4th away. And it happens to be a half step from usually where you're going, which is usually a circle of 4ths. All right. So this is a tritone sub. I'm doing a 2-5-1 of D, but I'm going to do 2 flat 2, which is a tritone subs of A, landing on the 4. Okay? Then you'd want to do diminished. Diminished 4, sharp 4. And look at that harmony. Alright? Alright, so that was number 11, which was diminished and tritone subs. Number 12 is altered chords. Alright? Altered and augmented chords. So if I have any type of chord that's going up a fourth, for instance, as soon as I go to the 4 chord, I'm going up a fourth, right? So I could throw a sharp 5, a flat 5. I could do a flat 9, sharp 9. So let's see what those sound like. Sharp 5. Works great. How about a flat 5? Works great. Going to the D7. What about a flat 9? You notice I'm kind of doing it the last minute because it doesn't really work too long. It's like a really tense thing. Alright, back to the 1 chord. Right, works great. So there's a A7, sharp 5, flat 9, or flat 13, flat 9. Same thing basically, to a D9. And then A7, F sharp, I could do a sharp 5 or a sharp 9. B7 sharp 9, E7 sharp 9, here's a fun one. E7 sharp 9 with a sharp 5. Okay, so kind of weird chords, but this is the world of altered chords. Of course we see sharp 9 chords in pop and rock as well. But it's a blues and jazz chord mainly. So last but not least, we want to talk about chromatic enclosures in bebop language. If you really follow this towards this logical conclusion, you'll basically arrive at, music of the 40s and early 50s, which is bebop. We really haven't gone more advanced than that unless you look at, certain other areas that are a little less bluesy, like neo-soul or something maybe, or modern jazz. But if we talk about the roots of blues, really the furthest you can go, in my opinion, I might be wrong, is bebop. So that would be chromatic enclosures, 16th note, bebop scales and all that stuff, like Donald Lee kind of thing. So let's say you're on an A, okay? You've got chromatic enclosures. Let's say I'm going to target the third of this A. I'm going to go 5, flat 5, 4, flat 3, 3. Now, eventually you'd want to combine all 14 of these. So this is just meant as a step-by-step outline, as different things to address at different times. On a certain practice day, you might just want to blues out. And just play nothing but the blues scale. On other days, you might want to do Mixolydian chromatic, kind of voice leading. Another day you might want to do all tritone substitutions in your solos. Right? Diminished. I gotta practice it too. So it would be something where, it's kind of infuriating to do it all at once, but the goal is to do it all at once without thinking. So the best way to do that, in my opinion, is to address each one, give it its due, don't rush through it, and understand that harmony is like an onion. You just you peel the layers until it's all one big soup of possibilities. But at first, I would just memorize a 12-bar blues as a beginner and get your blues vocabulary going. As an intermediate, I would get your technique and expression going, your different dominant sevenths and extensions, arpeggios. As an advanced player, you got to really dive into jazz. So, gosh, I've been talking for a while here. I think we're done for the day. Go ahead and leave your comment below on what you'd like me to cover from these 14 on a deep dive. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next lesson.